Hello and welcome back to another episode of Biographies. I'm your host, L.D.E, and today we're going on an incredible journey, one that brings us face to face with chimpanzees and the amazing woman who dedicated her life to understanding them, Jane Goodall. If you got questions about her, hold on to those thoughts. I've got plenty of answers because I know a thing or two about Jane. So are you ready to learn more? Let's start where every great story begins, at the very beginning. Jane Goodall wasn't always the world-famous animal expert we know today. Her full name is actually Valerie Jane Morris Goodall. She was born on April 3rd, 1934 in London, England. But to her family, she was simply Jane. When she was just a baby, her dad gave her a toy chimpanzee named Jubilee, and Jane took that toy everywhere. She hugged it so much that it started to lose its fur. From a young age, Jane loved all animals of all kinds. She spent hours watching earthworms, sea snails, and even teaching tricks to her dog, Rusty. Oh, and get this one. Some robins built a nest on her bedroom bookshelf. Wild, right? Jane's favorite book growing up was Dr. Dolittle, the story of a man who could talk to animals. That book sparked a dream. Jane wanted to go to Africa to study wild animals. She was just 8 years old, but she already knew what her future would look like. But in the 1930s England, young girls didn't grow up to become scientists, especially not one studying animals in Africa at all. Jane's family didn't even have enough money for college, so she took a job as a secretary. For a while, her dreams seemed out of reach, far away from her. Then, luck stepped in. A friend of Jane's moved to Kenya and invited her to visit. Jane saved every penny she could for months, and just before her 23rd birthday, she arrived in Africa. Talk about a dream come true! Everywhere she looked, there was wildlife, and Jane knew she was exactly where she was meant to be. During her trip, Jane met a scientist named Louis Leakey, who was searching for someone to study chimpanzees in Tanzania. He didn't want a trained scientist. He wanted someone fresh, curious, and patient. In July of 1960, Jane arrived at the Gombe forest. She pitched her tent, unpacked her binoculars and notebooks, and dove into her dream. But Gombe wasn't all paradise. It was full of steep cliffs, leopards, snakes, and stinging insects. The biggest challenge? The chimps themselves. Jane hiked and searched, but every time she spotted a chimp, they spotted her too, and bolted away. Jane refused to give up. She spent months waiting, and finally, an old chimp she named David Greybeard began to trust her. What she observed was groundbreaking. David made a twig into a tool to catch some insects. Until then, scientists thought only humans made tools. Jane's discovery stunned the world. The National Geographic sent a photographer named Hugo van Landwijk to document Jane's work. At first, she was annoyed. She didn't want anyone disturbing her time with the chimps at all. But Hugo turned out to be helpful, and quite handsome too. The two fell in love, got married, and had a son nicknamed Grub. Jane gave the chimps names as well: Flo, Fifi, Goliath, and more. She even documented their emotions, their intelligence, and their bonds with one another. Some of the scientists criticized her methods, saying she shouldn't name or befriend the chimps at all, but Jane ignored them. Her work changed the way the world saw the animals. In 1986, Jane decided to take her passion even further down. She began traveling the globe to advocate for wildlife conservation. She started Roots and Shoots, a program inspiring for young people to protect the planet. She travels 300 days a year, but still finds some time to visit Gombe and her beloved chimp friends. From an 8-year-old child dreaming of Africa to a global icon for conservation, Jane Goodall has spent her life making a difference. Her story is proof that when you follow your passion, anything is possible. That's the story of Jane Goodall, folks. This is L.D.E signing off for now. Until next time, Pittsburgh, never stop dreaming, and remember, you can make a difference, just like Jane. Jane, I owe you my gratitude for what you have done with your hard work with all the chimps, and I hope that you can do some more for the future.